Stop being so nervous. Go. No one spoke as the boat cut through the fog. The only sound was the motor's dull hum and the soft slap of waves against the hull. 16 sets scattered across the deck, each one clutching their government-stamped duffel bags like lifelines. They had all been specially selected for the first trial of Paleogenesis Youth Enrichment Camp. No one knew what exactly that meant. No one asked. The recruiter said it was a science retreat. They hadn't mentioned the island is off every official map. They hadn't mentioned the fencing, or the silence, or the cameras already tracking them from the treetops. The security cameras hidden from sight, but two know exactly where they are without making it suspicious. A tall girl with tight braids, a scar across her eyebrow, narrowed her eyes at the thick jungle awaiting on shore. "This place gives me the creeps," she said. The boy beside her, a wiry hacker type with dark circles under his eyes, smirked without looking up from his tablet. "It's not listed on Google Earth or any other map. This is never a good sign." The boat hit the sand. The guy who said a total of 7 words during the trip just pointed at the trailhead and turned the engine back on. No goodbye, no instructions. Just, "You're here, good luck." The jungle swallowed the boat's sound almost immediately. The girl with the scar took the first step toward the tree line. Her hand was twitching near the flare gun clipped to her belt. "Something's not right," she muttered. This isn't a camp, it's a trap." Myaps and other creatures made some noise on the island, but other than that, it was completely silent. And somewhere beyond the trees, something watched them and waited. I'm the girl with the scar, and the only one with a Hawaiian name. The one who wasn't supposed to be here, but here we are. I was given a phone and a solar-powered battery pack, but I doubt I'll need it because I'll be out in nature and doodling in my sketchbook. When you're the daughter of a powerful politician, your life isn't always your own. Character-building experience, they said. Exclusive opportunity, they promised, as if those words could cover the truth. The island is a mystery. This thing I've been forced into. Now I'm here with 5 others, each handpicked for reasons we don't understand yet. We don't speak as much as we hike through the dense jungle, our boots sinking into the soft earth, the air heavy with heat and secrets. Ahead, the base camp, our supposed home for the next few months. This place where we're meant to bond, train, and play nice for the cameras. But for me, it's temporary freedom, a chance to breathe without my father watching every move I make, a chance to disappear if the island lets me. Only if I could disappear, but I can't. Well, no, I have a chance to thrive because I studied paleontology most of my life. But it won't help much with our survival here. It took what seemed like forever as we reached a heavily fortified fortress-like building, where guards greeted us with hostility. Two seemed confused in why I was here with the others, which were all middle class, but I'm the only one out of place, the only wealthy one here. I'm not complaining, though. It's nice not being with all the wealthy people. The 4 girls and I of the group were given our own room, while Dylan got his own room. Dylan texted me while the others were talking blissfully, chatting with one another. I was interested in learning and staying far away from my father, who knows too, and the other girls. "Hey, Leilani, why are the only rich one here?" Alex asked. "That I do not have an answer to, Alex," I said, "but I'm not going to complain if there's dinosaurs in the equation." "It must be nice to have all that money," another one chimed in sadly. "This didn't come from me. I despise being treated like a princess with my parents' wealth and being poked and prodded all day by people I don't have interest in." But I said what I said. One gasped in reaction, and the others are stung by my answer. I'm not too happy that they're more interested in my wealth than anything else. I'm here to get away from my father. As I have said, I have no interest in these gossip girls or my wealth. I'm going to go walk around. You 3 catch up on life," I stammered. as I got up and left the room. Dylan was also wandering at this point, his footsteps echoing softly against the cold concrete floor. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. There was a silent agreement between us to explore the desolate halls of the fortified labs together, like two shadows slipping through a place and a time that was forgotten. The fluorescent lights above flickered inconsistently, casting everything into a sickly green hue. As I stepped around the corner of what used to be a research bay, something small and metallic caught my eye near a shattered desk. It was an old digital watch, half buried under layers of dust and debris. I picked it up carefully, turning it over in my hands. The screen was scratched. The strap was torn, but still it felt important somehow. I pressed a few buttons, and then it flickered out. There was a strange way to it, not just physical, but like it had seen things. I tucked it into my jacket pocket without another word. I wanted to fix it to see if it had any power or data here. Maybe it could be useful to us. Maybe it could help. Who knows? Dylan glanced over at me and raised a brow. I knew what he was asking, but I was thinking the same thing. We both had a knack for tech, probably better than most of the adults here. For two 15-year-olds, we knew how to take things apart and coax them back into life, even if they weren't meant to survive. If there was a sliver of usefulness in an old watch, we'd find it. In a place like this, every scrap of information mattered. Every second counted. Each step echoed like a countdown, every footfall heavier than the last, like death was walking beside me, and I just hadn't noticed until now. I couldn't explain the feeling, only that something wrong clung in the air, thick and waiting. The sliding doors of the lab hissed open. The sliding doors to the lab hissed open, and there she was, standing stiffly beneath the cold glow of the overhead lights, like she'd been rehearsing for this moment. A scientist, pale and jittery, eyes too alert. She greeted us not with surprise but recognition, like she'd known Dylan and I would be coming, like we were pieces on a board, the board she'd been watching too long. She smiled, too thin, too forced. Dylan and I locked eyes, our skepticism loud in the silence between us. Neither of us said it, but we both knew this was no coincidence. "I've been expecting you," she said, in a voice clipped and sweet, in a way that made my skin crawl. "I'm Evangeline." She didn't offer a handshake, just a name, a warning dressed up as a welcome. There's something about Leilani that feels familiar. I can't place it. It's not her face exactly, but something in the way she carries herself, like an old deja vu I can't shake. The sharp edge in her eyes, the stiffness in her shoulders, the way she doesn't want to be here. Or maybe I'm just projecting. Either way, her presence sets off a quiet hum of discomfort in my chest. And I can't tell if it's because she reminds me of someone or something. We hadn't said much since arriving. The silence between us stretched on in an uncertain way. I kept stealing glances at her, trying to decipher the storm that she seemed to be holding just beneath the surface. I finally broke the quiet. "I want Leilani's opinion on something," I said, my voice slicing through the silence like a hesitant blade. I turned to her fully, trying to catch her expression before she had a chance to hide it. "If you don't mind." I led her into the chamber, each step echoing in the weight of the silence. My chest tightened. There wasn't much time. Someone had to know the truth before it was too late. I needed to warn them about the plan, what's coming for them. "What is it you need?" she asked, her voice cold enough to bite. I hesitated in the weight of what I was about to say. sitting heavy on my chest, a breath that slipped past my lips, quiet and shaky before I finally spoke. "I need to warn you," I said, my voice low. "Something's coming, and it's not what they told you." My eyes flicked down barely a second, but enough to catch the movement. Leilani's fingers had curled around the flare gun at her side, slow and deliberate. She wasn't trying to be subtle anymore. Her stance shifted, no longer uneasy or uncertain. There was a stillness to her now, dangerous and grounded, like a fuse waiting for the spark. I held her gaze, careful not to flinch. "I'd reconsider," I said, keeping my voice even through something primal and twisted in my gut. You know you don't want to make this harder than it already is." She didn't respond. She just stood there, solid as a stone, staring through me like she already knew too much. The silence stretched on, tight and suffocating, until the scientist beside me stepped forward. "Please, come this way," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. She said she didn't try to hide the nerves in her tone. She moved toward the exit, head down, like she couldn't bear to witness whatever came next. I stayed still, watching Leilani, feeling her watch me back. And for the first time, I wasn't sure who really was in control anymore. "Well, that interaction went as well as smoothly as our arrival," I muttered, glancing over my shoulder. "And this place is starting to feel just as off as it did just the moment we stepped foot here." The others didn't respond, but the silence said enough. The air was thicker now, like it was holding a breath, watching. Nobody moved. They just stared, seemingly at nothing. "Something's not right," I added slowly and quieter. They knew we were coming. Too many locked doors, too many smiling faces that didn't reach their eyes. I looked down at my hand. My glove was damp, from sweat or something else. Then I saw it, the mark, a small, faint. There was something etched in my skin beneath the glove, like it had always been there. Only it hadn't been. Not until now, not till we passed through the checkpoint. "We were warned not to trust anyone," I whispered, more to myself than Dylan. But now, I was starting to wonder. Had we brought danger with us, or had it already been one of us? Dylan looked at me with worry, because he never saw me like this. I'm unsure how to move about this now that we're here. I knew this place was off. I know how to fight my way out of here, but I'm not going to, because I don't know the full dangers here, or what lurks beneath the skies. Whoever she was stupid, not give anything away or out. She doesn't know the secrets to stay alive in a world so cruel. Yet her words could and can mean anything in this dirty place. Morality is gone in such a dark place like this. The watch bounced slightly in my pocket of my pants, a reminder that not all hope is lost in a place like this. I came across another small gadget, a locket that looked like it'd been lost, maybe by one of the scientists or possibly even a previous camper, if the program had dated back that far. After that, we returned to our assigned rooms for the night. Sleep didn't come easy. I tossed and turned, restless, until I finally stepped out onto the balcony of the hotel on the other side of the lab. Hoping to get something out of the watch, I began to fiddle with it. That's when I heard it, distant screams, raw and unsettling, like something was being tortured. They sounded almost human, but darker somehow, agitated, muffled, and then suddenly they stopped. The watch flickered back to life, and it seemed like it may have had trapped energy inside while being in that part of the sealed-off hallway. A warm wind, brushed through my hair. I heard massive footsteps. I got down low for nothing to see me. The locket on my neck began to glow faintly. It sounded too big to be human, too strange to be any animal I know. The noise didn't belong to anything natural, at least. Nothing should exist here. Nothing I could place, and that's what made it worse. None of this makes sense. First, the locket just lying there, almost like someone wanted it to be found, and then the watch, which doesn't behave like any normal piece of technology I've seen. And now there is no official record, no explanation, no one talking, just whispers, secrets hanging in the air, like they're on the verge of spilling out if you listen long enough. A growl guttural, so deep, so guttural, nothing organic, too mechanical, too deliberate. It wasn't a raptor, but not a raptor, but it was not a raptor either. It sounded manufactured, like a predator made from memory and metal. I've never heard anything like it, especially not a place like this. If I had to compare it to anything, maybe a hadrosaur, but even it feels wrong, like it was out of place, very off, like it doesn't belong here or this world. Nothing about this place is natural. Well, that interaction went as well as smoothly as our arrival, I muttered, glancing over my shoulder. And this place is starting to feel just as off as it did just the moment we stepped foot here. The others didn't respond, but the silence said enough. The air was thicker now, like it was holding a breath, watching. Nobody moved. They just stared, seemingly at nothing. Something's not right, I added slowly and quieter. They knew we were coming. Too many locked doors, too many smiling faces that didn't reach their eyes. I looked down at my hand. My glove was damp, from sweat, or something else. Then I saw it, the mark. A small, faint. There was something etched in my skin beneath the glove, like it had always been there. Only it hadn't been. Not until now, not till we passed through the checkpoint. We were warned not to trust anyone, I whispered more to myself than Dylan. But now, I was starting to wonder, had we brought danger with us, or had it already been one of us? Dylan looked at me with worry, because he never saw me like this. I'm not sure how to move about this now that we're here. I knew this place was off. I know how to fight my way out of here, but I'm not going to, because I don't know the full dangers here, or what lurks beneath the skies. Whoever she was stupid, not give anything away or out. She doesn't know the secrets to stay alive in a world so cruel. Yet her words could and can mean anything in this dirty place. Morality is gone in such a dark place like this. The watch bounced slightly in my pocket of my pants. A reminder that not all hope is lost in a place like this. I came across another small gadget, a locket that looked like it'd been lost, maybe by one of the scientists or possibly even a previous camper, if the program had dated back that far. After that, we returned to our assigned rooms for the night. Sleep didn't come easy. I tossed and turned, restless, until I finally stepped out onto the balcony of the hotel on the other side of the lab. Hoping to get something out of the watch, I began to fiddle with it. That's when I heard it, distant screams, raw and unsettling, like something was being tortured. They sounded almost human, but darker somehow, agitated, muffled, and then suddenly they stopped. The watch flickered back to life, and it seemed like it may have had trapped energy inside while being in that part of the sealed-off hallway. A warm wind, brushed through my hair. I heard massive footsteps. I got down low for nothing to see me. The locket on my neck began to glow faintly. It sounded too big to be human, too strange to be any animal I know. The noise didn't belong to anything natural, at least. Nothing should exist here. Nothing I could place, and that's what made it worse. None of this makes sense. First, the locket just lying there, almost like someone wanted it to be found. And then the watch, which doesn't behave like any normal piece of technology I've seen. And now there's no official record, no explanation, no one talking, just whispers, secrets hanging in the air, like they're on the verge of spilling out if you listen long enough. A growl guttural, so deep, so guttural, nothing organic, too mechanical, too deliberate. It wasn't a raptor, but not a raptor, but it was not a raptor either. It sounded manufactured, like a predator made from memory and metal. I've never heard anything like it, especially not a place like this. If I had to compare it to anything, maybe a hadrosaur, but even it feels wrong, like it was out of place, very off, like it doesn't belong here or this world. Nothing about this place is natural. The pencil moved faster now, as if my hand knew something more than my brain did. Lines formed, muscles to joints to metal plating where the skin may have been. Teeth, not jagged, but uniform. Clean, too clean. I paused and stared at the sketch, unsettled. Whatever this thing was, it hadn't passed through. It might have been watching or hunting. Its form in the sketch had taken a shape almost of its own, like it knew something I didn't, muscular, predatory, and unnatural. It was something between a carnivore and a baryonyx of some kind, but either way, it didn't seem normal. The snout was sloped, the jawline was sharper than it should have been. The posture leaned forward with an unsettling intent, like it was always mid-pounce. The legs were thick, built for power, but the arms were wrong. Thin, too thin, but still functional, and still dangerous. It had a heavy, grounded frame of a land predator, but there were some strange aquatic hints, streamlined ridges, subtle webbing in the limbs, like it could pass just as easily through water as it could through trees. A creature that could adapt for more than one part of the world. It wasn't extinct. It wasn't impossible. Almost like it shouldn't exist at all. What is that? Kaya's ash broke through the silence. I flinched slightly. I didn't hear her approach. Not sure what it is, I said, my voice low. But something I heard last night. That's what it felt like. Kai leaned in closer at the sketch, studying it, her brow furrowed. It looks wrong, like something from a dream, or a mistake. I didn't answer. I set the drawing flat on the table and slid it towards her as Dylan walked over. His tray already abandoned, his eyes locked on the page, his face unreadable. This island, I whispered. It's not what we're all told. I can't place it yet. The locket on my neck shifted as my neck leaned forward, colder and heavier than it should have been. There was faint scratches along the edge, like it had been gripped tightly by someone scared or running. I flipped it open. Still no photo inside. Just a smudge on the one side, like something had once been there, but was deliberately washed away. It gave me a chill like I couldn't explain. A strange thought crossed my mind. What if it wasn't lost? What if it was just left? Kai noticed it in my hand. That's not yours, right? No, I said, voice barely audible. Found it near the lab building. Same time I found the watch. We glanced around instinctively. The others were scattered through the mess hall, talking, laughing quietly, detached, unaware, or pretending to be. The three of us sat down, close, heads bowed, speaking in hushed tones like children swapping ghost stories in the dark. Only this wasn't a story. There was something on this island, and whatever it is, it had been listening to a lot longer than we had. This place was all wrong. The more I think about it, the more it unravels. Nothing makes sense anymore. Not the sounds, not the artifacts, not the way the staff avoids questions with practiced smiles. I closed my sketchbook slowly, graphite smearing slightly beneath my fingers. I slipped it back into my satchel, just as footsteps echoed around the hallway near the mess hall entrance. The counselor. I didn't have to see their face to know they were watching. We should stop talking about this, I whispered, more to myself than to Kai and Dylan. At least not while they're around. We straightened up with the casual conversation. But under the surface our thoughts buzzed in like a broken signal, static, warnings, fragments of something bigger, something that didn't want to be found. And deep down we knew we weren't supposed to be here. Not really. Not me. Not Kai. Not Dylan. Whatever this program was, whatever our parents told us, whatever they printed on the brochures, it was a lie dressed up in science and nature walks, a curated illusion. We were out of place here, like pieces from the wrong puzzle shoved into the wrong board. And maybe the island knew that. Maybe it knew. I glanced at Kai, then Dylan. They were quiet too, their eyes flicking to the door with the counselor lingering nearby. Just standing there, pretending to check a clipboard, pretending not to listen. I could feel the locket pressed against my skin, ice cold and unnaturally heavy. It wasn't just the weight, it just felt alive, almost humming, a low, steady vibration that thrummed with something far older than life or technology surrounding me, a presence ancient and unknowable, buried beneath the surface of this place. Then, almost like a whisper carried on the wind, a voice spoke softly but unmistakably there. Leilani. My breath caught. I glanced around. No one met my gaze. The room was busy with chatter and oblivion. You aren't meant to be here. The voice, neither cruel nor kind, just certain, like warning etched into a shadow. Find the truth before it finds you. I clenched my jaw. Fingers tightened onto the locket. Was it real or just in my mind? Unraveling in the quiet. The humming grew louder, sinking with the beat of my heart. The voice faded quickly as it came, leaving a chill that settled deep in my bones. I tucked the locket back beneath my shirt before I forced myself to breathe. And then the counselor just stepped forward, clipboard in hand, clearing their throat loudly enough to cut through the low murmur of the mess hall. All right, everyone, the counselor announced, with a voice firm and practiced. It's time to get started today. Today's schedule is packed, so I need your full attention. Heads turned. The chatter died down. Kai, Dylan, and I straightened in our seats, exchanging quick and uneasy glances with one another. We'll be heading out We'll be heading out to the Eastern Ridge first. Remember to stay on the marked trails, the counselor continued, scanning the room like a hawk. No wandering off, and keep your devices close. Any questions before you move out? No one spoke. The room felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening. I glanced at my satchel, feeling the comforting weight of the watch, the locket, nestled inside. Whatever's happening here, whatever secrets the island held today, it would bring us closer to the answers. Whether we were ready or not, the hike to the Eastern Ridge was quieter than usual. The canopy filtered the sunlight above into fractured beams that danced on the forest floor. Every crunch of the leaves underfoot, everything felt louder than it should have been. Like the island was holding its breath. We reached the ridge just as sun climbed higher, revealing the sprawling vista of jagged cliffs, dropping sharply into the dense forest below. The air was cooler here, tinged with a scent of damp stone and something older, something buried beneath the layers of earth and time. I lagged behind the others, my eyes caught by a dark patch of something in the rocky cliffside, a fossil jutting out from the stone like it was frozen in shadow. Without thinking, I moved closer, drawn by an invisible force. The fossil was enormous, twisted and tangled. I could barely identify it. Some prehistoric predator, maybe, but nothing was like it that I've ever seen. My fingers brushed over the rock, tracing the outline of the massive claw embedded in the stone. A sudden pulse hummed through the locket at my neck, sharp and insistent. I froze. The air around me seemed to shift. The wind whispered unintelligible words that tangled with creaking with the creaking of the ancient stone. I looked up to see Kai calling my name, her voice distant but urgent. "Leilani, are you okay?" I couldn't pull away. The fossil was just a remnant of the past. It was a message, a warning. And somehow it was meant to send a message. Maybe I'm reading the signs wrong, but I cannot let myself get ahead of the day, or however long we'll be here. I blinked, realizing I'd been staring for too long. "Yeah, I'm fine," I said, forcing a smile. "Just this fossil, it's incredible." Dylan joined us, nodding toward the fossil. "Looks like some sort of dinosaur claw, maybe Megaraptorian or something." I glanced at the locket in my palm. "Yeah, something like that." The group gathered around, their earlier tension easing. As we took turns examining the fossil, the counselors reminded us to stay on the trail, but for a moment the island felt almost normal, like just another field trip, but longer. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the locket was trying to tell me something hidden in the bones beneath my fingers, something waiting to be uncovered. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky in shades of orange, pink, and deep purples. As we settled on the cliffside, the vast forest stretched out beneath us, a sea of green fading into the distance. A gentle breeze ruffled at the leaves, carrying the earthy scent of moss and distant rain. We spread out our blankets and backpacks in our tents, the counselors busy setting up the campfires a little ways back. Tonight, we'd camp right out here on the ridge, an opportunity to be closer to the land and its secrets, they said. Kai kicked a small stone down the slope, breaking the uncomfortable silence. "You know, I never really got into dinosaurs before this trip, but after seeing the fossil today, it's kind of fascinating." Dylan nodded, tossing the twig into the fire pit. "Yeah, me neither. I mean, they're like the ultimate survivors, right? Millions of years before us, and their bones are still here, telling us stories." I wrapped my arms around my knees, gazing at the glowing horizon. I always thought dinosaurs were just extinct, done, but now we're here. It feels like they're still here, around somehow, not just in fossils, but in the air and on the ground, like the island remembers them. Kai smiled, her eyes reflecting the last light. "Maybe that's why we weren't camping here tonight. Maybe to feel the connection, or maybe to see something." I touched the locket hidden beneath my shirt, its cold weight, the stark contrast to the warm evening air. "Maybe," I whispered, "or maybe this place has more to it than we understand." Dylan grinned. "Either way, I'm just here. I'm just hoping the night's quiet. No creepy growls or robotic dinosaurs showing up." We all laughed, but the sound felt fragile, like laughter shared in a face of something we couldn't fully believe. The sun dipped below the horizon, and stars began to twinkle overhead. Tomorrow, the real adventure would begin.